So, two articles that I'm going to read, and I'm going to go through them rather quickly. And I just want to begin to say and give a little bit of my own feedback. In the middle of the articles, I might give feedback, and before and then at the end, um, depending on how this goes. So, what I know is this primarily is focused on how the Black community doesn't always agree on specific topics when it comes sometimes to um, economics, racism, and inequality. And you'll have some people, however, that maybe they've began to flourish in their talents, music, entertainment, some sort, sports, and they speak out in behalf of people who are suffering in communities that maybe they are familiar with, that they've grown up in. And then there are others that they may have come from these neighborhoods. They may have grown up in the neighborhoods, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they weren't, you know, um, exposed to the same set of experiences, but they could be from the same ethnic background or racial background, rather. And they come from a well-to-do upbringing, and they've been shielded from a lot of realities that other people have faced over long periods of history and time, and some of the same problems that people are faced with poverty, inequality, racial injustice. Some people are unaware, or they're not even moved by incidences that they've seen where people are being gunned down, even though they could be from the same background. And if they're in particular position where they have money, they have fortune, they have fame, or they have opportunities that maybe somebody else didn't, sometimes they can become very useful and use their platform to do more for the communities, and then they can be more divisive. There's others that can be divisive, and they feel as though they want to separate themselves and divide within their own communities. And a lot of times it's based on class, economics. If they have more money, sometimes you'll have a person that maybe they possess more money, and they feel that they're better than a person. Like, what happened to you? I was able to make it. You should have done something right. It's your fault. And they will distance themselves. Um, we've had many people that have spoken out on behalf of the famous case Breonna Taylor. Um, and then we've had people that spoke out in defense, and then we've also had people that have spoken out in opposition, as if they're far removed from the situation that is presently going on. So Charles Barkley, this is out of the root, and Candace Owens combined forces to be loud and wrong about Breonna Taylor and defunding the police. So this is by a Jay Connor. So a lot of people have really spoken out on Charles Barkley and Candace Owens and some others that are, you even have people who aren't famous that agree with Candace Owens and Charles Barkley, and maybe others that feel like, well, the boyfriend, he did shoot. They come up with all kinds of scenarios in favor of police. And it's almost like they don't see the big picture of what actually happened here. And we've had a lot of situations that have happened even before Breonna Taylor, and the same individuals will always come, instead of defending the people who are victimized or who are marginalized, they usually put the problems in the lap of the people who are marginalized and blame the marginalized individuals or the people who have been killed as if it was something that they caused themselves. And so it says, stop if you've heard this before, but Charles Barkley said something stupid again. On Thursday, as hundreds of figures throughout the sports world shared their reactions on the Breonna Taylor verdict, 11-time NBA All-Star offered his own opinion on TNT's Inside the NBA. Okay, so I believe there are other little videos that show up on the side. So you have pictured here at right, you have, well, actually, we'll start with the left. Candace Owens, and then at right, or to my right, is Charles Barkley. And Candace Owens is a right-wing political commentator that I know of, and then Charles Barkley is a former NBA All-Star player or ex-player, and so he does commentary for sports, I believe, still, and he also comments on real hot button topics, and a lot of times they don't come off very well accepted for everyone. And so I just feel bad that the young lady lost her life, he said, but we do have to take into account, this is from Charles Barkley, that her boyfriend shot the cops and shot a cop. So like I say, even though I'm really sorry she lost her life, I just don't think that we can put this in the same situation as George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. So this is a Twitter person who saw this. Look at Charles Barkley using his platform to insinuate Breonna Taylor's murder was somehow justified. Chuck, if you have no value to add, then please get out of the way. And so that's probably a recording of him basically saying what I had read. And so I won't play it. But mind you, Chuck is talking about an innocent black woman who died in a hallway after being shot 6 times after police entered her apartment with a no-knock warrant. He's also inferring that unlike Floyd and Arbery, Breonna's victimhood falls into question because of her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who fired at intruders who barged into his crib after midnight without announcing themselves. Editor's note: Kentucky Attorney General David Cameron said that in a press conference Wednesday that a single witness heard the police officers announce themselves, but at least a dozen witnesses have said that they have not heard the police announce themselves. So Walker has maintained that he did not hear the police announce themselves. So if the police weren't in the wrong for how they executed the warrant, then why in the hell did the city of Louisville just cut Breonna's family a it wasn't 12,000, it was $12 million check? Okay, Chuck, you're bugging. Okay, so what is Charles Barkley talking about? These are several people that have chimed in. This Breonna Taylor's death isn't an Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. You're right, but it's not because she was at home asleep in her bed. TF. Okay. So the story continues. It says, he then went on to question the purpose behind defunding the police. And so I hear these fools on TV talking about defund the police and things like that, but we need police reform and prison reform and things like that, because you know who ain't gonna defund the cops? White neighborhoods and rich neighborhoods, Barkley said. Who are black people supposed to call Ghostbusters when we have a crime in our neighborhood? So we need to stop the defund or abolish police crap. Charles Barkley on defunding the police, who are black people supposed to call Ghostbusters when we have a crime in the neighborhood. We need to stop the defund and abolish the police crime. And so you see Shaquille O'Neal, and so you can look at these videos if you want to on your leisure. So the biggest problem with defunding the police is that far too many people argue against doing so without educating themselves on why it's even being said and be using basic human logic. So to put this as succinctly possible, defunding the police doesn't mean getting rid of the police entirely. It means reducing police budgets and instead reallocating the funds into various social programs that can improve public safety, such as youth services, public health, housing programs, education, etc. So instead of relying on police to solve every goddamn problem themselves, you instead focus on addressing mental health, poverty, etc., directly by wait for it, actually investigating in the communities. Okay, so in what realm of reality does this not make perfect fucking sense? So, to the surprise of no one, Barkley's co-host Shaquille O'Neal, as whole ass deputy himself, okay, co-signed his foolishness and did the only black girl devoid of magic, Candace Owens, okay, as did the only black girl devoid of magic, Candace Owens. Okay, so congratulations to at Shaq Charles Barkley for having the courage to tell the truth about hashtag Breonna Taylor live on TV. Her ashiness tweeted. Okay, so it is rare for respected athletes to have a spine to buck the dishonest media narrative, but the facts are the facts. Try it, LeBron. Okay, Candace Owens. Congratulations. Okay, so that's basically her tweeting on Twitter and basically saying the same thing. So again, Chuck, you're bugging. And I'm clearly not the only person who feels that way, as a 57-year-old became a trending topic on Twitter shortly after spewing his nonsense. Charles Barkley and Shaq trying to justify Breonna Taylor's death is exactly why black women need to be protected. By Jasmine Wimbish. Okay, so out of USA Today, it's bad that a young lady lost her life, but we do have to take into account that the boyfriend did shoot at the cops and shot a cop. I don't think this is something that we can put in the same situation as George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. That was coming from Charles Barkley. So I didn't know that I could be this disgusted by Charles Barkley. So a lot of people have chimed in, even people who are white disagree with Charles Barkley's comments, feel that it does not make sense. Because people with common sense can see the real big picture here and what actually happened. So, Queen's Child project manager. So, in conclusion, fuck Tory Lanez and fuck Charles Barkley. So, that's somebody's comment, I guess, because of what happened with Megan Thee Stallion by her getting shot in the foot by a Tory Lanez, allegedly by Tory Lanez, and she made the comment that black women are not protected, and then this thing happening with Breonna Taylor with the no-knock warrant, and the cops barging into her apartment and then shooting as many times as they did, which fatally took her life. So in a perfect world, Charles would actually read up on some of these social issues that he so fervently speaks on, but I guess I'm asking for too much. Correction, 9:26:20, 9:02 a.m. An earlier version of the story misstated the location where Breonna Taylor died. She was killed in the hallway of her home prior to the arrival of the police, and she had been asleep but was awakened by the noise. The story has been updated. Okay. And so the next article is about Candace Owens making a comment about the Attorney General. And so you have this article here. And so there's a lot of articles that are coming out about Candace Owens, Charles Barkley, and Shaquille O'Neal. So Candace Owens says Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron is the victim of racism in the Breonna Taylor case. Blue Telusma the Griot. So the DA has come under fire for not charging the police in Breonna Taylor's case, but has found a defender in Owens. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron has been facing heightened backlash since announcing the grand jury decision in Breonna Taylor case. And so it says that we're going to continue. Okay, but now fellow Black Republican Candace Owens has come to the defense. So here she comes with her defense. And so she usually intervenes when people don't want to hear it. Because right now we know that it's all over the news. It's been all over the news for many, many weeks that it happened. There's been lots of outcry and calls for justice for the Breonna Taylor family and for Breonna Taylor in her murder. And so Thursday, while appearing on Tucker Carlson's Tonight show, Owens defended Cameron, Attorney General, who she believes has been racially attacked by the left, since confirming Wednesday that no murder charges would be brought against the Louisville police officers in connection with Taylor's death. So, for me, it's absolutely infuriating to watch. I've been on the receiving end of the same sort of attack, said the conservative pundit. So here's what's so fundamentally wrong and backward about it. If you actually look at what they are saying and what the deeper implications are here, there is a right way and a correct way and a wrong way to be Black, Owens explained. Ironically, that's the very definition of racism, and it's coming from the liberals who like to say that they see racism everywhere, but they can't recognize it when it's coming out of their own mouths. And so she also opened that her opinion was that Cameron, the Attorney General, did the right thing by ignoring the various pressures coming from the culture and the mainstream media, and for that you are seeing him being socially lynched. So she's using these terms now, socially lynched, and stripped of his identity because he acted professionally and rationally. Okay, so this guy should be condemned, well, not condemned, but commended, actually, she says. Commended by both sides, and instead he's being attacked racially by the left. And so this is at my left is Tucker Carlson, and at my right is Candace Owens, and that's basically what she's saying. Probably says media to Kentucky AG, you're a race traitor. Okay, and so it says also said Thursday that the total number of people getting unemployment benefits has fallen, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, okay? So that basically is a video about it. So Cameron is the Commonwealth's first Black Attorney General and also the first Republican to hold the position in more than 70 years. So you got to see what's at play here too. So the Attorney General, he's a Republican as well. So Candace Owens is a Republican, and all of these people, they pretty much have each other's back. And so, but unlike Owens, as we previously reported, activist Tamika Mallory believes Cameron is a traitor to his race and deserves all the irie he is attracting lately. And so Friday, while speaking at a press conference held by Benjamin Crump, the attorney that's representing the Taylor's family, Mallory minced no word when sharing her thoughts about the Black Republican. She believes him to be complicit in white supremacy. So Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery and helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them, and to traffic them, while our women were raped and while men were raped by savages, she said. And so Mallory added that Cameron was removed from the black community, concluding that if that is who you are, Daniel Cameron, you're a coward, you're a sellout, and you were used by the system to harm your own mama and your own black mama. And we have no respect for you, no respect for your black skin, because all your skin folk ain't our kinfolk. And you do not belong to the black people at all. And so there's a lot of heated debate, a lot of anger behind this. And like I said, you have people that can be from the same background and do just as much as harm and damage as people from other backgrounds that aren't people are perceived as people of color. And so they could be on the other end. However, you can have vice versa, where you can have people that are white that don't understand why people are held accountable for the murder of Breonna Taylor. And so here you got this man, the attorney general, and then you have these sports figures that are on the defense for the fact that this attorney general is not really persistent at doing the job that justice for the family of Breonna Taylor, justice for Breonna Taylor, that they should so well deserve. And so a lot of people are not feeling this. Also, you have these people that they happen to be, even though they happen to be black individuals, you always see these people come up and they always say things at the wrong time that rub people the wrong way, in hot button topics that are political or highly televised cases where black people are getting gunned down, or they being mistreated, or they're being abused by law enforcement, or they're being told that their lives don't matter in so many ways. It's what not so much what they say all the time. Sometimes it's what they're showing us in these communities. And so here you have people who somehow they've made it in society and made a name for themselves, and they've come into money. And you have some people who are supportive of the communities and they want to see people get justice. And then you have people who are on the defense for these people who they are oppositional, even though they are black themselves. It's as if it's an ongoing battle, and you constantly see them come out and attacking the black community, or they attack people who have been killed, or they pretty much lay it in the lap of the individuals that have been victimized. And so they then flip things around to call themselves the victim or themselves being ostracized, when basically they say things at the wrong time, they speak out of turn, and then they add insult to injury in their commentary. And a lot of it seems as though they have the support of people who are Republican, and it feels for the black community that these people are being used as tools and mouthpieces to basically say things that support white supremacy and hold up these tropes. And so that is the reason why people are so done with Charles Barkley, Candace Owens, and any of the others that somehow they're sitting on so much money, and I guess they're being paid. People even feel that they may even be paid to be spokespeople for the right wing extremists. And so this is what causes great pains of division in the black community. Sometimes there is division within our communities, precisely behind people that do these type of acts. When they get on the media and they have a large platform and they speak out of turn to say things against the very people who they've come either grown up in these communities or they've come from these communities, or if they haven't grown up or come from the communities, they are black, they are African American, they are pretty much the same nationality or ethnic group. They just maybe, they could possibly have lived in a different set of circumstances. Maybe they come from a family that may have provided them, they were able to have some type of money, but that's basically what it stems from. And then they were reared in a Republican setting, and they're far far right wingers. And so you do have those divisions where people are like that, and their thinking is, let's just say as much stuff, spew out as much information or jargon that we can come out with that speaks to the right wing people. And a lot of people feel that Candace Owens is getting paid to do this. Charles Barkley might even be getting paid more money to say these things, and they get paid handsomely, apparently, to say these things because they basically just turn their back on the very people who look like them, who are constantly suffering from these issues. And we see it time and time again. Lately, we've been seeing a rash of killings of people in South LA, in New York, and in many various metropolitan cities. We have the COVID, we have uh, racial inequality and historical racial and systematic inequality that have plagued black communities for many, many years. And so a lot of people have lost jobs. Nobody's trying to hear people justify why a black woman who is an emergency medical technician, where she had no prior history of criminal activity, killed in her own hallway in her apartment on a no-knock warrant. And so, anyway, I'm gonna let this go. What do you think about this? This is really heartbreaking that this whole incident occurred, but then to have people like Candace Owens and Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal, come on, the very people that you would think that who you've always supported, who you've always looked up to in sports as sports figures, would basically turn and say things against the situation to defend the alleged killers. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening.